Alright, today we're starting our section 7.6, Polynomials. This is when things are starting to get a little bit more complicated. This information is going to directly affect the end of chapter 7, section 7.7, when we learn to add and subtract polynomials, and then I think 7.8 where we learn to multiply polynomials, and then eventually even learn how to divide polynomials. So again, it's going to be pretty challenging. But we will try our best. Now, the information that we have at the very beginning is what type of polynomials we have. Polynomials is just a general statement, general idea. Specifically, we have monomials, which just means one thing. So if you notice here, we don't have any plus signs or minus signs. It's just one item, the coefficient and the exponent with the variable, of course, but it's considered as one thought. Over here we have a negative, but it's not considered a minus sign. It's just one thought again. Sometimes you can have double variables, as it mentioned here, even just like this one here, double variables. Our next ones are called binomials, and that's actually going to be one of the more common ones that we're going to be dealing with in a section or two. They are called binomials, just like if you had a bicycle with two wheels. You've got two parts here. If you notice, you've got a variable part, a plus sign, and then a number part. So it's two ideas. Another variable part, and then another number part, plus sign. It could be a minus sign instead. Excuse me. This next one, we have a variable part with a different exponent from this variable part. So again, they are separate thoughts. They are separate ideas. Binomial. This one as well, minus sign, but variable part and number part, separate thoughts. So binomials, again, means two. The next one will be our trinomials, meaning three parts. Trinomials, again, is going to be another common one that we'll see. Each part has to be different again. It can be separated by a plus sign or minus sign. So if we go, we have an x squared, an x, and then a number. Completely different ideas. This one we have an x squared, an xy, and then a y squared. So again, the middle is clearly different because it has an x and a y. Each three parts are distinct. Anything beyond three parts is going to be that word of polynomials. This is a really good idea of a general form polynomial because the exponents are behaving correctly, meaning they are decreasing. I've got a 3, a 2, a hidden 1, and then finally, since there's no variable, there is no exponent here, which would be a 0. And again, anything above a 3 would just say polynomial. Again, write that down, please. The proper order, exponential order, however we want to call it, our exponents are decreasing. So part of your goal today is to take a polynomial, whatever form it's in. So this is a trinomial because there are three parts, and we just need to put it in standard form. Standard form, if you remember from the previous slide, it's simply we want our biggest exponent first so that we can work on our decreasing exponents. That means I need to put it in the proper order. So I look at each one. I do remember that this is an exponent of 1, and then this part here, there's no variable, so it's exponent of 0. So my biggest exponent is obviously going to be the exponent of 2. I'd like you to remember it's one complete thought. So everything here, including this negative sign, is part of the first idea or the first term. So that goes in the front. Then my next biggest exponent is the 1. So that is going to go the whole thing. It's going to go next. And then finally the part with no variable, no exponent would go at the back. Again, it's just standard form, proper order, however you want to call it, biggest exponent, and then they are decreasing. Some will get a little bit more challenging than that, but if you can understand that idea, it's going to be really easy for you later on. So same thing here. I want decreasing exponents. So I look for my biggest exponent. Just going in order, I have an exponent of 1, an exponent of 0, exponent of 2, exponent of 3. So obviously my exponent of 3 is the biggest one. I've got a plus sign here, so I really don't have to put my plus sign if I don't want to. But if I had a minus sign, you definitely have to make sure it's negative, like on example A. So decreasing exponents, biggest one goes first. Then my exponent of 2, I've got a nice plus sign, so plus x squared. My exponent of 1 goes right here. It's positive. So what should I put there? Let's put a plus 3x. And then finally my exponent of 0. So again, remember it's 3, 2, 1, and then finally my exponent of 0 would be my negative 4. The last part of this section is really short notes, is talking about the degree. Now the degree is just very helpful information for later on in high school, so we just kind of mention it a little bit here. It's not going to be stressed too much on your test, but again, there will be some points involved, so you definitely want to get these problems correct. So our degree, you got to truly understand the difference between the different type of polynomials. So one thing applies for a monomial. For the degree of a monomial, it says add the exponents. And most students can do that. Everything else, though, the others, that means binomials, trinomials, or general form polynomials, it says it's the largest exponent. And this is where students get confused. For whatever reason, they just remember add the exponents. So it means if it's a trinomial, they're going to add the exponents, which is incorrect. It says just the largest exponent. So if you notice here, this is a monomial. My monomial says add the exponents. So it means I'm going to add 3 plus, there's nothing else, 3 plus 0, so my nice degree is a simple 3. Again, I'm trying to find the degree. The degree talks about the different type of polynomial it is, but we're not going to stress it too much. Now this one here, if you notice, I have double variables, n and m. So I'm definitely going to add the exponents because this is a monomial. I have no plus sign or minus sign separating my ideas. So I just take my 2 plus my 5, gives me a nice 7th degree. Again, going really quick and easy. Example E, another monomial. I just add my exponents. I've got a 2 plus a 3, so nice simple 5. And one more like this, real easy. Now, for whatever reason, again, students make a wrong choice when it has an A, but remember there's a hidden 1 there. So if you want to make Juan visible, please do so. It's going to be a 1 plus a 6. So please don't write 6, it is 7. Again, you may want to physically write a 1 there. So the question is, what is the degree if there are no variables? We kind of talked about it earlier. If there's no variables, there's no exponent, or technically an exponent of 0. So if there's no variables, the degree is 0. It's called a constant, which means it doesn't change, it stays the same. All right, so for our last two ideas here, if you notice, they are not monomials. So I want you to see if you can tell me what the what the degree is going to be. I'll give you just a little bit of time. Look back in your notes, just the previous slide I think it was, so it might be on the same page. Give you about 25 seconds to write down the answers. What is the degree for example G and example H? So for your first one, did you accidentally, incorrectly do 3 plus 2 plus 1? Remember, that's what you do for monomials. This is a polynomial because there's 4 terms. Everything else that's not a monomial, you take the biggest exponent. So example G, it's going to be degree of 3. On example H, hopefully you did not do 5 plus 1 and say 6. Remember, for a trinomial, you're going to take the largest exponent. That is a 5. Degree is 5.